You're listening to the Parents of Hardworking Teens podcast, episode 106. How study success shows up in the students that I work with, because it is not just about the grades and results. That is definitely part of it for some students, but there's a whole lot of other benefits and advantages happening too. I'm Katie Jones, and with over 15 years in education as an award-winning high school teacher, international external examiner, and as a study coach, I've helped thousands of students skyrocket their results and confidence. And this podcast is where I share all my insights, tactics, and tips with you, the parent, so you can help your hardworking teen get happy, smart, and successful in their study, and have you both enjoy the journey along the way. This is the Parents of Hardworking Teens podcast. Hey VIPs, I hope you and your teens are doing great. Whether you're on school holidays right now, as I know a lot of students in the Southern Hemisphere are, or coming up to the end of the school year in the Northern Hemisphere, I hope things are going really, really well. I have had some really good conversations lately with students and parents, both in my 10-week Grade Transformation program and also in Next Level Coaching. And I thought that I would share a couple of key things that they have been mentioning that I probably don't really talk about as often as I should, because I often ask students who are coming into the 10WGT, what would make this totally worth it to you to invest 1 hour per week for 10 weeks? Because a lot of students are busy. They don't want something extra on their plate. So I asked them, what would need to change or happen for you in your study to make it worth it, to make you think, oh my goodness, I am so glad I put in that time and effort. And I also asked parents, what would you love for your teen to get out of the 10-week program? What would have to happen to make this an outstanding success for you and your teen? And then at the end, we review and we discuss what changes have they seen, what has happened for them. And in Next Level, we discuss how do we want to take things further? What else can we make happen for them? So I thought it would be a really positive episode to share some of this with you here on the podcast. The different ways that study success actually shows up in real life. The more obvious ways and some of the side benefits as well. Because when we talk about study success, I know that we tend to instantly think about grades and results and report cards. And I know that we do also know that it's not just about the grades in terms of numbers and letters, but it is about what they can lead to or create. It's actually about what opportunities those grades and results might bring or open, and the confidence that they create in your teen. And we also know that sometimes it is not about the grades or results at all. For example, Gemma and I have just finalised our Semester 1 Next Level Awards. We do a little awards recognition each semester, and we will have announced them the evening before this episode goes out. So I can tell you that one of the students we've acknowledged with an award is in Next Level purely to make their study smooth, enjoyable, and have a positive Year 12 experience. Not with a view to create any specific grades or results at all, but to take away the stress and give them back more time for life outside of their study. And another student that we've awarded is wanting to achieve ducks of their grade and is very much focused on the results. And both have been awarded for their participation and their positivity and commitment. So here are 5 ways, the obvious and the less obvious, but just as worthwhile, ways that students see, experience, and enjoy success when they have the skills, strategies, and techniques to create it in their study. Number 1 is less time studying. So many parents and students come to me with stories of never-ending assignments, late-night revision, and lengthy essays, coursework, and inquiry tasks. And when you add to that a sprinkling of daily homework mixed with a committed teen who wants to do well, you've very often got a case of non-stop study in any time that isn't already taken up with a job or music or sports practice or other commitments that any teen has. Maybe study is even taking over some of those other things in some cases. I can totally relate to this personally. I was definitely that teen who During those exam years, when I wasn't at my job or doing something specifically allocated for time, I would mainly be studying, especially for something like revision, where there is no finished point. You don't ever finish revision. And I am sometimes saying that to students who maybe need to be doing it more. Not like you finish an essay, although I will also say that I see a lot of students who don't ever really finish an essay either. Not because it's actually unfinished, but because it only really gets finished because the due date has arrived. Otherwise, it is a case of continued edits, tweaks, even sections of total rewrites, often because they doubt themselves and what they've written, doubting whether it's quite right or good enough yet. And I will talk more about students doubting themselves in a few moments. It is linked to one of the success symbols. But less time studying comes when your teen has effective and efficient study strategies, such as active revision strategies, rather than the long and arduous and less effective revision notes, making revision cards, or just reading back over information. Less time studying comes when your team can quickly and accurately dissect an essay question, like when they use the two-step topic and focus system, and then can construct a solid essay plan using one of the 4 body paragraph structures that I recommend. And less time studying comes when your team can independently chunk down an assignment so that they don't go off on tangents, don't go over the word count. I see so many students taking as much time again trying to cut a load of content that they already took hours and hours writing. So, symbol of success number 1 is less time studying. Now, this ties in with symbol of study success number 2, less procrastination. Less putting tasks off, more getting them done. And not just quickly dashed off, but actually getting them done diligently, accurately, and smoothly. Because students often tell me that they procrastinate or leave things to the last minute and just can't really seem to get into things sometimes. And they often then think, or they tell me, that they need to be more motivated. And I know that usually they don't need to be more motivated. They need to be more skilled. Because it is very hard to be motivated or actually take action from that motivation, would be a more precise or accurate way to say it, when we aren't totally sure of what we need to do or what's required or exactly how to then do it. Or if we look at it the other way, we could be super motivated. But if we still don't know even just one of those things, what to do or what's required or how to do it, we are not going to be able to make a whole lot of progress, no matter how up for it we actually are. And I have an excellent example of this right now. Some good news from the Jones household is my husband and I have just bought a house. We're not moving far. We're just a suburb along. We're still on the Sunshine Coast. We will never leave the Sunshine Coast. And I haven't said anything till now because we've been waiting on one clause to get the contract unconditional and get a settlement date. But we've just literally had that through. So I'm sure I'll be sharing with you some packing and moving stories very soon. But I'm also sure I will have some reno stories to share over the coming months. I'll probably actually say years, to be honest, because it's an older house and it needs a total renovation. Now, you know me. I love a project. And I could not be more excited to start planning our renovation, but I also have zero idea of what I'm really doing. Neither me nor my husband does. We are not DIY people. We've just never learnt or gathered those skills or had that information. So we're going to be doing a lot of learning as we go and a lot of hiring tradies and professionals to actually do the work. We're not going to be knocking down our own walls. I love the idea of it, but it's completely unrealistic and a recipe for disaster. But I expect there probably will be a few Reno-based analogies coming up over the months on the podcast. But here is one for now. Even though I am listening to renovation and property podcasts, I have a stream of interior design feeds in my social media, and I have been following a load of forums and randomly drawing out ideas of floor plans and layouts. I can tell you absolutely nothing has actually been planned, let alone executed. yet. Now, of course, we haven't actually moved in yet, so we can't get to work on the actual house, but we could be getting floor plans made or fence panels organized and some of those other basics. But none of that has actually happened because we don't know what we're doing. So it's like your teen making more notes, doing more research, rereading their text or novel, or just anything else that's related or non-related that puts the thing off that they have uncertainty around. So they could be like me. They could be highly motivated, but lacking some, or if like me, a lot, of the knowledge or the skills that are needed. Now, my husband and I are going to build some of those skills and that knowledge with help from professionals, from people who know what they're doing. Just like I can help your teen build their knowledge and skills for their study so that they have clear direction, they have the knowledge and the skills to make progress, to take action and do it accurately and effectively. Because we don't want progress and action if it's not in the right direction. And this is what I am in particular trying to avoid right now, is making a wrong move or a bad decision. We want to get to the desired outcome with as few mistakes or wrong turns along the way. And talking of outcomes, symbol of study success number 3 is results. Now, of course, I get a lot of students telling me that they want better results or higher percentages or higher grades in their exams and coursework and assessment. Now, some students do need certain results for their next course or the qualification or the uni that they want to go and get into. And yes, I know there are multiple pathways to do this. But if a student knows what they want to do, I am all for getting them there in the shortest, smoothest way. And then there are some students who just know that they are capable of more than what they're currently achieving. And they just want to get their best possible grades to give themselves maximum different opportunities. But they aren't sure where they're going wrong or what they need to do to get there. And they are almost always correct. They usually are completely capable of getting higher grades. And they do just need to know what to do to get them. But in the meantime, they're studying longer and harder. They're doing a lot of the same things they've previously been doing, but trying to do more of it. Hence, when they gain the understanding and skills that they're currently missing, they can then spend less time studying, as per success symbol number 1. So you can start to see how these things overlap. Higher results and studying less. It is a great combination, and they both happen concurrently when students have the understanding of how exams, assessment, and the education system in general today works. And they then have the skills and strategies and techniques to optimize their study to match those things. And here's another link for you. When these things happen, it creates symbol of study success number 4, confidence. Confidence is by far and away the word that comes up the most when I talk to parents and students. So I've thought a bit about this in preparation for this episode, and I've come to see it as a little bit of a chicken and egg situation. If we are not confident about what a task or a question is asking or wanting, then it's unlikely that we are going to hit the nail on the head or be successful in meeting those wants and needs. There is a reason why we don't feel confident. There is something we don't know or we're not sure of. And then when we get a low mark or a mark that's below what we know we're capable of, then that knocks our confidence. And then we doubt ourselves even more. Even when we have a task where we actually do know how to tackle it or how to answer a particular exam question, that past experience then creates some doubt or confusion. And so it goes on. So I think this is why confidence is such a big factor and such a desired outcome. Because when we are confident in how to dissect a question, discern exactly what it wants, and we're confident in knowing how to put that across at a high level, it's likely because we are skilled in doing so. I don't know many people who feel confident in something that they have not learned or been trained in. And actually, sometimes if we're not skilled or knowledgeable, but we are feeling confident, that may not be a good combination. That might not be a good thing. For most of us in life, we need to do something successfully, repeatedly, a few times before we actually feel confident in it. And that's the key. The success that students create in their study then creates a feeling of confidence, but it's having the skills and techniques to deal with any task or essay or exam question that gives them the know-how to do it successfully and confidently, and then generate an added layer of confidence rather than doubt, gives them the know-how to do it and the feeling of confidence while they're doing it, and then generates an added layer of confidence when they get a great result that they can carry forwards to the next task. And finally, we come to symbol of study success number 5. One that is often not listed as a want at the start of the 10-week program, but is often shared with me as a notable positive change at the end. And that is around communication. Having more useful and productive conversations with teachers, being able to participate more in class, being able to ask better questions when they need help from the teacher, or being able to answer questions and contribute more in class. Overall, it's about having much more effective communication and much more positive interaction. And this comes from your teen having a clear understanding of how education and assessment really works, how their teacher or the examiner is viewing their work, and how they develop questions and mark schemes in the first place. These are all things that I share with students because I know personally, even as a teacher, how much of a difference it makes at how you look as a student or as a teacher at everything when you know these things. Now, I never share anything that I shouldn't, but there is no rule that says students shouldn't know how these things work, how mark schemes are constructed. For example, do we go from top marks down or bottom marks up when writing the descriptors? There is no rule that says students aren't allowed to know how exam papers are constructed and written. Do we select the topic or the level of command first when we're writing an exam question? And what does this mean for how they should answer? How does this insight help them to deal with and tackle any question that they see? How do we decide how many marks to allocate? Students are totally allowed to know these things, but they are never taught it or shown it, which is understandable, of course. It's kind of not their job to know it. And I never even knew the half of it as a high school teacher until I was 4 years in, when I decided to do external exam marking for the national GCSE exams in the UK. Now, it was partly for the extra money that I decided to do it, but I also really wanted to see behind the curtain of exam boards. I wanted to know how it all worked, but I never realized just how far-reaching seeing and understanding it all would end up being for me and my students. And doing this work over the years, ever since, has continued to give me huge insights. And I can honestly say now that that first year of external exam board marking made such an impact that if I were to go back to my 29-year-old self now, I would have done it for free just to get into that world, to understand how everything works. It was such a valuable experience and made such a difference to my teaching. And students tell me they have much smarter conversations with their teachers when they are armed with this information. They're more across what's going on in class, in their homework, and in their assignments, even in their textbook. So when something doesn't quite make sense or they aren't clear on something, they can ask a much more specific and high quality question. Or when they want to up level and things are making sense and they really want to optimize and elevate their response, they can have an in-depth and high-level discussion and overall get a lot more out of every aspect of their study and schooling. So you might like to have a think about which success symbol you'd most like for your teen. And you might like to have your teen think about which one they would most like. And then, here's the little not-so-secret secret. Consider this. You don't even have to choose just one. Because, like I mentioned earlier, all of these interlink and overlap. One leads to or comes from another. When one thing clicks, it automatically unlocks another. So when your teen gets a higher result directly because of something that they now understand and can respond to more effectively, it creates confidence. When they understand how mark schemes work, they can ask more specific questions about the task criteria and the content to their teacher, which leads them to achieving a higher grade and likely getting there on a more direct path with less time procrastinating or rewriting or editing. So you can definitely choose one or two that sound the most appealing, but also know that you don't actually have to choose. They all kind of come together in one package. But if even one of those does sound good to you, then definitely come check out the 10-week Grade Transformation Program. It's at www.gradetransformation.com/join. Or if your teen has completed the 10WGT and wants to take any of these further, I will be opening up next level enrollment from the 10th to the 12th of August. And you can get on the waitlist at www.gradetransformation.com/next level. And I will put both of those links in the show notes for you so you can easily get there. So here's to success in the way that means the most to you and your teen. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you back here on the next episode next week. Take care. Bye. If you're ready to have your teen achieve their best possible results with less stress, then I want to invite you to enroll them in the 10-week Grade Transformation Program, where they're going to learn the key concepts, skills, and strategies to catapult their performance in assessments and exams. It's risk-free. They either achieve bigger and better results with a whole lot more confidence in 10 weeks, or we refund you in full. Just head over to www.rocksolidstudy.com/program, and I'll see you there.